opponent obviously has something to do with it, but how eager, I guess, were your guys after the BYU game to go back out there and kind of have a better outing?
Yeah, they're excited. I mean, I told you before, I mean, we got a great group of guys, and I think regardless how the BYU game would have went, we would have prepped the same way. And obviously, there's things we had to clean up in the BYU game, but we got a great group of guys. But they're motivated to play for each other. They're motivated to play well for each other, and so it's easy as a coaching staff to be able to put the stuff in front of them. This we need to grow in, this we need to do better. And then they did a great job last week prepping, and it was cool to see them go out and obviously do what they did on Saturday night. And still a lot of things to clean up, a lot of things that, just like every single week defensively, there's always going to be things you're like, we can do this better. These are some things we did well, and we could highlight those, but also highlight the things we need to improve on. So I'm proud of our guys. We got a great group. They're playing hard. They're a great group to be around. There's a lot of guys having to step up with some of the injuries we have had, and it's cool to see that.
What was it like to see Scott Matlock his first full sack of the season? After the game, he said it was kind of a long time coming for him.
Yeah, I mean, it was someone told me that after the game, and I was a little bit shocked that it was his first, quote unquote, full sack. But I mean, what Scott does for our defense, for our team, let me start with that, as a leader, as just that guy that you're always going to get Scott's best from practice to the weight room to meetings. So seeing him be able to do that, it was awesome to see him do that, because he's such a huge part of what we do defensively. Maybe like we've talked before, maybe Scott's not the one maybe getting the sack, maybe he's not the one getting the TFL, but he's probably getting double or triple teamed so that somebody else can make that play. And he's just that selfless leader that always does what he's supposed to do. And it was awesome for him in that moment to be able to make that play, because I know he's such a big part of what we do. Things roll through 99. I mean, from his mentality to the run and the pass game, I mean, things go through him.
Andrew Simpson on some of those rushes looked like a bat out of hell, just coming through the gaps. What makes him so good? And have you guys been seeing this in practice for a while?
Yeah, I mean, Andrew's got a knack for blitz technique, pass rush ability. He's very savvy, really athletic, and just like all these guys, I mean, he's been buying his time. He's played a little bit as the year went on, more later in games and a little bit here and there. But being behind DJ and Zeke that are playing really well, he hasn't played a lot early in games, but he's been working and growing a lot, and still has a lot as a redshirt freshman that he needs to improve on in regards to how he preps and how he handles what it takes to play linebacker here. But it was awesome to see him go out there, and still has a lot of different things from that game to clean up. But it was cool to see him go out there and play fast. That's the biggest thing I wanted him to do that game. Is, all right, we're gonna work our tail off throughout the week so you can prep. But then when the lights are on and that snow's coming down Saturday night, just go cut it loose. And he was able to do that. And it was cool to see that. And so there's a lot that we can build on with him. And obviously that dependable depth this point in the season is huge. And you're really only as good as your depth. And it was cool to see him come in a major way. And hats off to DJ too. I mean, he's played zero Mike this entire year. And at the flip of a dime, he was able to move to Mike and played really well, and just like he's done all season. So, really proud of DJ being able to move that spot and make a lot of plays there.
With George and Dimitri out, Devin Wright's played a lot. Where have you seen him grow the most over the year, and how would you assess how he's played?
Yeah, I'm excited where Devin's heading. I mean, he's always been a really good pass rusher, and now it's been cool to see him grow in regards to being able to play on first and second down as well. And you talk about a guy who's eager to learn, loves coming in here, spending time with the coaches, studying film, and just wants to get better. And Coach Kagan and his staff, since he's come here, have done a great job with his body. He's always been long, athletic, but putting that muscle on him so that he can play on those mixed downs. So he's grown a ton this year, and obviously, same like a couple of these other guys, didn't get a lot of time early on the season, but now with the injuries we had, he's got a big role in our team now in a lot of different packages. So excited for him to keep taking steps.
You had some veteran guys there in Dimitri and George most of the season. Now you got some young guys in Gabe and Devin. What's the added challenge when you bring in an inexperienced pass rusher like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's at the end of the day, we're us as a staff's looking at who our personnel, how can we put them in the best situations? With George and Dimitri, it might be different than it is with somebody else. Doesn't mean that's good or bad. It's just going to be different, and that's across the board. Could be at corner, could be at our edge position. So for us, it's week in and week out saying, okay, what are some things we can do to make sure these guys are in the best spots possible? And then it's training them in their fundamentals and techniques. Because at the end of the day, that's really what it is. Schematically, you want to put guys in the right spots so they can make plays. But then it's getting off blocks, getting to the football, and making tackles when you get there. So even simplifying it for some of our young guys was like, guys, we're going to work our tail off so you know exactly what you're supposed to do. But don't get it twisted. This game's about seeing your keys, getting to the football, and when you get there, be violent when you make that tackle, and hopefully the ball pops out.
I would think those young guys would maybe be a little overly aggressive and get themselves out of position. Is that something you've had to train out of them?
Yeah, I think there's always nerves, especially if it's your first. We had a couple guys, it was their first career start last Saturday night. So there's always those nerves, which is good. I mean, that's why you love this game. I mean, you seeing them out there in the pregame, the snow coming down. It's like, hey, just chill out, man. This is you're playing the game. This is still a 100-yard field. We've been here before. We've done this. But you love that. You want that for these kids that have put this hard work in, and now they're maybe 2-3 weeks ago they didn't think they're going to play much. Now they're starting or they're getting a lot of reps, and just proud of them being able to grow from week to week throughout the season and being able to put it on film in a major way on Saturday night. Once again, still a lot for them to clean up, us all as a group to clean up. But I know it fires up even some of our veterans seeing these young guys that early on weren't playing a lot, going out there making plays. I mean, the sidelines were going crazy. Seeing these guys make these plays in this game was cool to see.
We talked about it. You guys you said like they're starters for a reason though too. So when you have some of these guys that get injured, I mean, I know you like dependable depth, but you can only go so far down the chart before the play drops off. I mean, especially at the edge position, I guess. So maybe we would have 3 of your top 4 guys going into the year or whatever. I mean, what are you dealing with there at the edge spots? Yeah,
at the end of the day, you go into season with a depth chart, like you said, BJ. These are our starters for a reason. These are the backups, and so on and so forth. And as you get to this point in the season, you gotta look at all positions too. And it's something where it's not just because you can't go into a game defensively different than offensively. Hey, if we're running out receivers, we might play with more tight ends. You can't do that defensively. You react to what you're given. And so just trying to find always ways we can use our personnel and put them in the best spots. If a guy can play this position and maybe he wasn't there early in the year, we're going to find ways to move guys around, just like moving, DJ to Mike, or looking at different guys that maybe played defensive end to start the year. Now they're playing more stud for us. So we're always looking at different ways to put our guys in the best spots. But at the end of the day, who we have is more than enough. We got a great group of guys, and even guys that are banged up, they're fighting their tail off to get healthy and get some of those guys back later on this year. And so I'm fired up where this group's going, and the guys that we have that are healthy are going to be ready to go.
After the BYU game, you said his worst tackling ever of the season. What did you think of it that area against Nevada? And how do you simulate that? Those kind of types of conditions in practice. I assume it's kind of hard to.
Yeah. Yeah, I think tackling-wise, we definitely took a step from BYU. We talked about last week. That was one of my main frustrations from the game was just our tackling, because I knew we were better than that. And I think we tackled a lot better Saturday night. Still some angles and some missed tackles that we are going to emphasize this week in practice. And every week it's a new week in regards to seeing different angles that maybe we're missing or we're not tracking it the right way. And so that's the fun part as a coach, is then us simulating that in a drill or in a practice situation so they can be better at it on Saturday night. But once again, our guys took a lot of ownership for that in regards to, okay, we need to make sure we handle these certain tempos, these drills in practice, and it showed, and they tackled a lot better Saturday night. And we need to do, obviously, that again this coming Saturday night with how obviously well coached Wyoming is, as well as across the board from the tailbacks to the receivers. I mean, they break tackles across the board. So we got to be ready to make a lot of tackles on Saturday night. And so I think at the end of the day, then just being able to simulate those different tackles in practice is everything. And then the weather side of it, the nice part about practice in the mornings is it is cold out here in Boise, Idaho, so we're able to get some of those kind of mornings where the frost is on the blue a little bit and able to kind of push some of those conditions. But a lot of our guys, with having a veteran crew, obviously young guys are playing more. It just, for us, it goes into at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who we play. It doesn't matter the conditions. It doesn't matter their record or our record. At the end of the day, prep so you can play confident, and all the other things should not matter if you handle your prep the right way. If it's all about I got to feel the right way, it's got to be 74 degrees and 8% humidity, like you're just never going to find that happy medium, you know what I mean? And so just train our guys where you're always in the fight, you always live on the razor's edge defensively. So if it's 2 degrees, if it's snowing, awesome. Guys are joking pregame, this is football weather. It's like, yeah, let's go to work. Let's have some fun doing this thing. So just try to breathe that into their mentality.
You've coached a lot of games against Wyoming. What have you come to expect from their offense?
First off, just the amount of respect we have for them as a full team, is through the roof. Got a lot of respect for what they do on all 3 phases. But we know, I think they do a phenomenal job looking at how we've been attacked. Hats off to their offensive staff. If we've been attacked a certain way this year, a pass play, a run play, a formation, we're going to see it on Saturday night. Like they do a really good job, not just not just calling plays, they're calling plays to attack weaknesses that they might see in us. And so we know that every year. We know they're going to be extremely tough. They're going to be extremely well coached. You don't see them get a lot of penalties. You don't see them cower down one bit. They're going to be in the fight the entire game. That's why usually every time we play them, it's an absolute dogfight. Our guys know that. I'm sure they know that. And we obviously know it's at stake Saturday night. And so our guys are getting ready for the battle that's waiting for them Saturday night. But the utmost respect for what they do. And I think offensively, in regards to how they use their personnel, the different personnel groupings, it's always a challenge to defend. And our guys are excited for the challenge.
They always seem to have a next level linebacker, whether it's Logan Wilson or Chad Muma, now Easton Gibbs. And they're usually focused on the offense, but do you get a chance to watch guys like that during the season or maybe in the offseason?
Yeah, no doubt. We were able to have a couple crossover games. So they play BYU. So obviously when we're studying BYU's offense, watching Wyoming, obviously Air Force when they played them. So I got a lot of respect for what they do defensively too. I think those linebackers fly around. They put a lot of different stress on offense in regards to some of the different blitzes they give. Haven't studied them a ton just from a schematic standpoint, but love seeing those boys fly around, especially those linebackers. I mean, it's cool to see. And there's even been a couple clips that I've used to show the LBs, like, you better look like this Saturday, and they have a lot of fun with that.
What impresses you about number 2, Titus, that they're running back?
He's very explosive off his first cut. He does a great job pressing the run play front side, and then at the drop of a dime, he can put his foot in the ground, and then he can get vertical in a heartbeat. And so if your pursuit angles, if your tackling is not on point, he can split you right down the middle. And the thing about number 7 and number 2, like we're talking about, is they can go the distance. It's not like, dang it, we misfit it. Now it's a 20-yard gain, 25-yard gain, which you don't love. But against these guys, I mean, it's a 70-yarder. It's out if you don't have the post that can get it down. And so that's how they are. That's how they've been. That's how they've been coached. They create run plays to be explosive. And so we got to make sure from a tackling to a fit standpoint, they do a great job. Everybody's going to be in the run fit. It's not just going to be on Scott Matlock and a D tackle. It's going to be from the corners to the linebackers because of the different movers and the formations. It's going to take all 11 of us to stop the run, and stopping those 2 tailbacks is a huge challenge and a huge task that we're going to be working our tail off to prep for.
Spencer, you said you went to church, your same church as Taylor, a
Yes.
couple weeks ago.
Mhm.
How is he handling whatever this is, stardom or becoming the face of a program? You seem to know the kid pretty well.
Yeah.
And obviously, where do you think that's going? How's he going to handle this?
And in the day-to-day, just seeing him in the hallways and seeing him, I mean, the awesome thing about Taylor is just he seems like the exact same guy when no one knew who Taylor Green was. That's what I love about Taylor Green. Now everybody knows who he is, and he deserves it with what he's been doing and how he's been leading that group. But seeing him, he's a low ego, high output guy. Always has a smile on his face. When you see him, I'll mess with him, hit him a little bit. Even though he can pat me on the head and drink soup off the top of my head, he's that type of an athlete and a player. But he's just a great kid to be around. Our guys love being around him. Defensively, when he scores, I mean, you can just see the love that our team has for Taylor, and obviously how he's really galvanized that whole group. But I think he's taking it in stride, and he's doing a good job staying true to who he is. And just like everybody on our team, he's excited to keep growing, and Coach Cutter and the offensive staff done a great job with having him grow over the year.
When it's snowing and it's like bad footing and stuff, does the offense have an advantage because the receivers and stuff know their routes, or does the defense, just because it's hard to hang on to the ball? Like, is there one side when it's bad conditions that has the advantage?
That's a good question, BJ. I don't know if one side. I think you're all kind of dealing with it. I think just like anything, there's pros and cons to either side of the ball. I would assume it's going to be a little bit harder to catch, but I would assume it's easier when, like you said, if a receiver knows I'm going to plant at 5 yards and a DB's got to react. It's going to be easier for that receiver to get in and out of his breaks. So I think there's a yin and yang to both sides. I think the cool part about a weather game like that is that's true football, right? This game's not getting canceled. Nothing short of obviously lightning or thunderstorm, and so there's a grit part to it in those games that you thrive on, especially defensively. You want to be able to go in those games. If it turns into a game where maybe you can't throw the ball the same way, that we want to be able to grind it out defensively, and so you want to be able to pride yourself on that.
We saw Nohe have a couple impressive pass breakups, a couple you had to catch up to the guy, but I mean, what have you thought of your corners coming or on Saturday coming back from that BYU game?
Yeah, I think Coach Warren, does a great job with those guys, just building the confidence in them getting ready to play. Because especially on the outside, you live on the razor's edge. Because at the end of the day, no one's talking about you until you get a ball caught on you, right? And that's what the elite corners. You might not hear their name all game, and then all of a sudden everybody's yelling at this player because he had one ball caught him, but no one saw the 15 that he locked down, right? And you got to be able to move past the games that maybe you played bad or didn't play up to the standard you want to play with. You also got to move on in game if you get a ball caught on you, because especially for us defensively, we talk about we will challenge receivers at the line of scrimmage. We press, and we're going to try to strangle you out of the line and play tight coverage. With that, sometimes you give up some throws, and at the end of the day, our guys, Noe, Biggs, Tyler Buff, Jalen Clark, are doing a great job just every rep getting right back up there, lining back up again, not being scared, not being timid. At the end of the day, that's their part of the puzzle in regards to playing really good defense, and they're doing a great job. And they did a great job bouncing back from a couple passes they gave up against BYU, which obviously they didn't want to. But the BYU game, and I keep coming back to it, it definitely was not. It's not one position. It's not one thing. At the end of the day, I take full responsibility for it, and I told the players that because I need to make sure they're in better spots. But seeing them come out last week and how they responded from it and how they came to work from Sunday, Monday to prepare for Nevada and play the way they did Saturday night. Once again, obviously still a lot from even that game we need to clean up from some fits, from some tackles. But just proud of how they responded and really took that coaching and grew from it.
Last one.
Jaden Clemens stepped in for Andrew Peasley last week. Such a cool story. He got moved to safety at Utah, walked on at Wyoming. What did you see out of him stepping in a big spot?
Yeah, I mean, and obviously, found a way to lead him to victory in a huge game for them. So got a lot of respect for what he does. And I think the offense will be very similar. From Peasley's in there, he can run it, he can throw it at the big time shot down the sideline to win the game. And so from a preparation standpoint, both Peasley and him can run that offense the right way. And that offense is always tough to defend, but especially when they got a quarterback like Peasley, like Clemens, where they're also, you got to count them in the run fit, which they always have that at Wyoming. It makes it even tougher in regards to having to cover for his number as well. So, and knowing that program, they will be ready. He will be ready. If he's tasked to be the starter, they will have a game plan for us that fits to his skill set because he can throw it and he can run it, and we know they'll be ready for us.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.